Welcome to lesson 9.5, volumes of spheres. Now this is going to be a very straightforward lesson because we're going to just be learning one formula today, and that is the formula to find the volume of a sphere. Now before we get into this lesson, we should probably know what a sphere is. And a sphere, this thing right here, this word, is a three-dimensional object shaped like a ball. Whoa! Another interesting fact is that every point on the surface is the same distance from the center. Alright? We call those radiuses. Remember with the circle, every point from the center is going to be the same to the outside. Alright, so let's look at some examples of a sphere. This baseball right here, yeah, that's a sphere. This earth over here, this globe, that is also a sphere. And before some of you get smart and say like, oh, it's not a perfect circle, yeah, I know, but it's pretty good representation of a perfect sphere. And this cat right here, it's not a sphere, but man, it's cute. Look at that guy. So how do we find the volume of a sphere? Well, we just use this formula right here. The volume of a sphere is found by saying its volume is equal to 4/3 times pi times r to the third. And before you ask, no, you don't have to memorize it. I will give you this formula. You just have to know how to use it. Now, if you notice, the only variable that you have to plug in for here is the radius. So to find the volume, the only thing that you need to know about that sphere is its radius, which we see right here. So let's try finding the radius of this sphere. All right? The first thing you want to do is find the radius. Did it. We want to find how much it is. It's 7. Now we just have to plug in. So volume is equal to 4/3 pi times the radius to the third power. We just plug into our formula, so our radius is 7. And now we just put this straight into our calculator. Now, we're going to do it in two different ways. One, we're going to do it in terms of pi, meaning we don't multiply by pi. And one, we're going to do it as a decimal. So let's start by doing it by pi. All right? So I'm going to just take out my trusty calculator. You should do 2. And the way you enter it in is 4 divided by 3. All right? Times 7 to the third power. And what you should have gotten was 457.33 bar, because that 3 keeps going. And since it's in terms of pi, we're going to put our pi there. Now to get this in terms of a decimal, we're just going to multiply that by pi, and we get 1,436.76, because I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth. I'm rounding this up. And that is my answer to the nearest hundredth. Just plugging into this formula right here. All right? Now, we can't forget our units, so this is inches. And since it's the volume, we always put to the third power, right? Because there's 3 dimensions. And that's how you find the volume. Now, there's really not much else to tell you. That's the lesson for you guys. I will say this. Here's the independent practice that you'll be doing. I want to put this problem over here, right here. And you'll notice that this is called a hemisphere. It's not the whole sphere. It's called a hemisphere, which means it's half of a sphere. So what are you going to do at the end if it's half of a sphere? Well, you're going to divide your answer by 2. All right, little tip for you. I figured I'd do a whole problem, but I think you got it from there. All right, guys, that's it. Pretty short, pretty easy. If you want to shut this down, that's fine. We're done here. Wait, one last thing. I'm just kidding. I'm done. Bye.